This stream is powered by Melita. This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to World Pro Racing here on TVM Sport for Malta, Esports TV and Motorsport.tv, as well as the official World Pro Racing Facebook, YouTube and Twitch channels. Once again, you're joined by Alex Goldschmidt and, of course, Niklas Hilbrand. Good evening, Niklas. How are you, buddy? You keeping well?
Yeah, doing quite well indeed. I hope you are as well. And I'm really looking forward to the great race we're going to have this evening.
Yes, of course, it's time for the Assetto Corsa Competizione GT3 casual race at Suzuka. 3.608 miles, 5.807 kilometres, along with many wonderful people watching from across the globe. Apologies for the noise in the background here at home. But Melita is powering this stream along with visitmalta.com, Gaming Malta and HyperX along with Thrustmaster. Nicholas, just tell the people at home about some of the characteristics of this fantastic circuit at Suzuka, which is currently a Honda-owned track.
Well, of course, a lot of elevation change. Who could forget the absolutely stunning and incomparable S's up the hill in Sector 1? And of course, just generally, you don't have that many circuits where the first two corners, which get the name bogged together, first turn, you don't have that many circuits where you have it that fast. And this entire speed aspect, this entire just flow and constant presence of speed, it's completely apparent and always present in this circuit.
I think one of the biggest other places that has been a part of motorsport folklore, 1988, the clash between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost at the famed Casio Triangle, just after the iconic circuit simply known as 130R, where Fernando Alonso back in 2006 passed the man that would eventually become a 7-time Formula One world champion, Michael Schumacher, whose record just this past weekend at Istanbul has been equalled by Lewis Hamilton. But without further ado, I think hopefully we'll be getting our free practice session underway. It's a 15-minute practice session, a 15-minute qualifying session, and then a half-hour race. There is one of our usual suspects, Tom Ottey from the Gifted Racing team, and the number 69 Audi R8 LMS GT3. And track temperatures looking very hot here, Nicholas. 39 degrees Celsius as opposed to what we've seen over the last 3 rounds. Of course, Marek Vons won last time out at Monza after Jens Niklas Erbrich finished in first place on both Brands Hatch and Misano.
Yeah, the 39 degrees will really be something that drivers have to look out for. Even though that is the case, we have a fantastic 1:59 lap time at the moment from Luke Whitehead here in the absolutely stunning Lexus. The home ground's definitely helping that car at the moment. And, well, 39 degrees, people will have to look out for their tire temperatures quite a lot more than usual, I'd say. But yeah, as we see a bit more footage here, the Bastiani here in the Honda NSX, so another person opting for the home brands. We also saw a few Nissans already on track, and indeed, we have quite a few Japanese cars here at the moment at Suzuka. So yeah, overall, I think throughout the player base of Assetto Corsa Competizione, it's quite well known that Lexus, Honda, and also Nissan, they all just get along really, really well with high-speed corners, with just generally a lot of long straights, and of course these mid-speed corners as well. They are cars that are just really built for high speeds of up to 280, 290 kilometers even.
Yes, indeed. Marco Piardi in the number 7 Bentley goes across the line. A 2-minute 3.090 for the number 7. Currently with the best of a 2:02.763. Samuel Harrison, someone who I actually know, loves skiing in his spare time, but obviously with COVID-19 at the moment, he's not able to travel. The Stanbridge Motorsport driver running the 217 Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo, currently running P4 at the moment. So a good showing for the Brits, running in the 2-minute ones at the moment. But Luke Whitehead, and then we've got Norton in the number 12 Lexus rounding out the top 2. Then it's followed by the Honda NSX of Di Bastiani in the number 30. Harrison, Otti, Piardi, Kunsabo, who's been running in that Lexus for this round and also the previous round at Monza, is in 7th ahead of Riboldi in the only Ferrari we have on the server at the moment. Gemello has switched to the Nissan, with Pari in the number 6 Mercedes rounding out the top 10 thus far. But obviously no Marek Vons, we've got no Simon Speth, no Sergio Mendes either. So the 3 from TPC Sim Racing not joining us this time. But 20 cars on the grid. How are the times looking in terms of free practice at the moment, Nicolas?
Well, 1:59 is an incredibly fast time already. A lot of people, I think, especially with the Porsche just overall, I would say, is not quite in its top elements right here, because it relies mostly on traction, low-speed corners, and its gearbox is built mainly for acceleration, while the Honda, for example, basically, in theory, can do up to 300 kilometers an hour, even quicker, with the maximum gearing. The Porsche basically maxes out at around 276, 277 maybe in the slipstream. And yeah, they will have to use the acceleration advantage out of slower corners, like as we just saw, the hairpin, maybe even Spoon or the Degners. But it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for the Porsches today.
I think in some respects, being a Honda-based track, you would think the NSXs would have a bit of an advantage on the Lexuses, but that doesn't seem to be the case, because Samuel Harrison has got up into P3 in the 217 Audi R8 as Mats Walden from the number 13. He's currently running 15th at the moment, now heading in the Porsche 911 GT3 R901-2 variety, going through 130R, takes a bit too much curb on the inside, scrubs a little bit of speed, and there's Anders Walden in the 667 Porsche now making his way down the dip towards 130R.
Yeah, and it's just as I said just now, at high speeds, the rear engine aspect of the Porsche, it can't really just show its power. Of course, also Anders Walden a little bit actually, I think he's on a controller, so that is actually quite brave, especially with a corner that's, well, a circuit that is as flowing as Suzuka. So yeah, with the inputs there, definitely a controller driver. So yeah, hats off to him, because I would be too scared to attempt that.
So we've got just over 11 minutes and 20 seconds. There looks to be an Aston Martin just behind. Could be the number 26 of Tom Revox, who absolutely sends it up the inside through first corner before they now head onto the Snake complex, and then through the anti-banked curved before Dunlop, whereas Marco Piardi making his way through Spoon curve. And it's going to be rather interesting. The Bentley is also quite a competent vehicle and has one of the biggest advantages in terms of endurance racing here on ACC, as having one of the largest fuel tanks. And that's what really could prove to be a bit of a godsend, because Marco Piardi will have a little bit less weight in that car, Nicolas, which weighs approximately 2.5 tons, and that's before you even put in the driver and the fuel as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you just calculate everything in, and of course the big fuel tank, and then added to that the lower fuel consumption with a V8 twin turbo or bi-turbo, however you want to call it, it's really, really good on fuel consumption. So as you said, he can carry a lot less fuel, and generally that way he can also just practice qualifying runs a little bit more, and with a bit less fuel, of course, than the others, you're closer to that weight that you're running in qualifying runs. So not something with too much difference with in between the race and quali trim. So he'll be much more used to this weight change that he will have, because it's of course a lot smaller.
I think also coming back to the Porsche here, Nicolas, you said about the fact that the Porsche will normally hit anywhere just above 275 kilometers an hour in the slipstream, but in terms of the twisty stuff, you know, it will have the handling advantage going through first corner into the Snake complex, through Dunlop, through the Degners. The slower corners is where the Porsche will have an advantage, but it seems like Luke Whitehead is absolutely flying. He's put in a best effort so far of a 1 minute 59.613. De Bastiani now makes it a Honda NSX in the top three. He's put that number 32nd, and that's Ben Norton from the Gifted Racing team in the number 12 Lexus, rounding out the top three, followed by Samuel Harrison and Tom Ottaway. Kun Sabo rounds out the top six. Pari in the number 6 Mercedes in 7th. Piardi in the Bentley is 8th, ahead of the number 71 of Reboldi, with Patricio Gemello completing the top 10 in the number 75 Nissan, and Godzilla not quite hungry yet to strike an opportunity in free practice at the moment. But Luke Whitehead looks to make good his intentions this evening, wouldn't you say, Nicholas?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw Luke weeks before. He was very, very confident in this Lexus, sorry. Wrong big boy car, but yeah, he's definitely very confident in this Lexus. Overall, it's a more understeery car. The same actually goes for the Honda and the Nissan. But at high-speed corners and at mid-speed corners, they really are stable and they have a lot of top speed. And that is really what you need here at Suzuka, because you just don't really get any moments where the car is upset. You don't really get any moments where the car just wants to suddenly decide to, rotate a little bit more than the driver anticipated. And I think that's something that the Audi drivers in 4th and 5th might have to fight with throughout the S's, or, for example, throughout Spoon as well.
I think that's quite an interesting point you bring up there, because obviously let's not forget the Honda NSX is also a mid-engined rear-wheel drive car, just like the Audi. We do have a sole Lamborghini from JPA Sim Racing, Jorge Alfonseca, in the number 78, currently rounding out the top 14 positions. But a very different dynamic to, as we've had a couple of cars go off, that looks to be one of the Validens, I think, that has just gone off. It's either Anders or Mats that have just gone off there. Yellow flag now retracted back in, as Kun Sabo in the number 24 Lexus now goes through 130R, fully committed at around 250 kilometers per hour before braking heavily down towards the Casio Triangle. Looks like someone's had a bit of fun with a couple of the cones going through there. Make that 3 that have been sort of turned asunder off of the Casio Triangle. So Alfonseca running in the Barwell Motorsport colours, the Portuguese driver, a best effort so far of a 2 minute 5.9 at the minute.
Yeah, overall the Audi and the Lamborghini quite similar overall from the car handling, because, well, at least at lower speed, but at high speeds they change a little bit because of course, the quite different aerodynamic profile, and also, of course, the Lamborghini completely different aerodynamic tuning on the rear wing. But yeah, you said the Honda is mid-engine. That is true. However, overall, the Honda is still a very, very, very understeery car, and that is due to the fact that I think the engine is overall mounted a little bit further rearward. So in the Audi and the Lamborghini, for example, the engine is a true mid-engine car, so almost 50-50. But the Honda, I think, the engine is mounted a little bit further rearward, so it's giving it a little bit more of a Porsche-style driving characteristic overall.
At least it's not completely over the rear axle, otherwise it would be a rear-mounted engine, rear-wheel drive car. And there is Cam de Bastiani running in the Mulsanne Racing colours. The French driver in the number 30, currently P2 on a 2 minute 1.224. But that Lexus of Luke Whitehead there, Nicholas, is a further 1.6, at least a second and a half quicker around the 3.608 mile circuit here at Suzuka. So De Bastiani has got a bit of work to do here, but it's only free practice at the moment. So as we found out at Monza, last time out at Monza, when Marek Vons just literally cantered away from the field, De Bastiani could really be the dark horse here, or the dark Japanese samurai here at Suzuka, if you want to be a bit more topical in terms of Freudian slips here in my case. I think De Bastiani, could really, with the pace that he's showing, could prove to be one of those drivers we need to keep our eyes on here at Suzuka.
Yeah, most definitely. The pace he's currently doing is pretty much a very good race pace. So it could be that at the moment he's still going for race pace runs just to, get used more to the high track temperatures. Because of course, this is something that will even over half an hour have a huge impact on prolonged pace. So if he just wants to get a touch on how the car just feels under high load, that's the best thing to do right now. And of course, there's no time like the present, just testing out how this car will handle in the race pace. And Luke Whitehead, overall, I think he's definitely running in qualifying mode, because with a 159 at this temperature, that would be absolutely absurd race pace. And at that point, I would definitely say, Luke Whitehead, you should definitely apply for the next round of SRO Silver Cup for the pure sim racer split among the best in the world.
Yeah, I definitely concur there. I mean, as they say, times are for show, points to go, and it's not where you start, it's where you finish at the end of the day. So De Bastiani could be a dark horse, as I alluded to earlier. Paulo Cisco in the Nord-Est Racing Team, BMW M6 GT3, the sole BMW in this field, the number 97, currently running in P12 behind Reboldi in the number 71 Ferrari. Piardi rounds out the top 10 still so far. But it has been Luke Whitehead, with just over 3 minutes of this session remaining, that has really stamped his initial dominance. But qualifying will be a completely different matter altogether, because the biggest thing here, Nicholas, is that with the server times, also that will dictate what happens with regards to the temperature on the track itself. And if we go north of 40 degrees Celsius, you're going to see that some cars that will be a bit kinder to their tyres, be a bit more, the drivers might be a bit more strategic in terms of their qualifying run applications.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I mean, the top 5 are the best example for that as well, because we have the Lexus, the Honda, and I think those cars are definitely cars that could suffer from very high temperatures at the front because of their understeering nature. But the Audi will definitely be a car that Harrison will have to look out for, especially over the just general race duration, because if it goes north of 40 degrees, over one lap, it can be okay, but the car just wears the rear tires a lot more than most cars. Generally, the tendency for endurance races of the car, people try to set it up more understeery, because they try to just balance the rear wear out with front wear. And in these extreme conditions, it could really play against Harrison, especially because it's just an exponential amount that the tire will just heat up, because you heat up, you start sliding, and then you heat it up more, and then you slide more, and you heat it up more.
So, by just what you've said there, I would say that the car that could be most at risk for high tyre degradation at the rear end is not necessarily the Honda or the Audi. I think the Porsche, because obviously the Boxer engine is right over the rear axle. And if you get it wrong in the Porsche, and there are 3 of them, we've got Vieira in the 912 in 16th, and we've got the 2 Valdens with Mats running ahead of Anders in 18th and 19th respectively. These cars are quite clearly struggling under these inhumane temperatures, and there is Mats Valden in the number 13. So you can see that the Porsches are starting to struggle even before we got to qualifying.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, for the acceleration phases, overall, I think the Porsche should be good on the rear tires, but they will be another car that will struggle quite a lot with the front tire temperature, especially since it's also one of the cars that's relying more heavily on the tire grip, especially in these corners. Another car I think that could have troubles is the Ferrari, because ironically, a car being made in Italy, I know from experience that the car is very, very, very attackable with high temperatures. So one of the worst combos for it, for example, is Barcelona in high temperatures, and the rear axle will just never cool down with that. And Suzuka, overall, with the high-speed nature, I think quite similar to Barcelona. So Riboldi should be prepared for a lot of sliding.
Well, that concludes the 15-minute free practice session here at Suzuka for the GT3 casual race here on World Pro Racing. So Luke Whitehead topped the session ahead of Camille De Bastiani, with Ben Norton in third place, Samuel Harrison and Tom Revox rounding out the top 5 there, Nicholas. But an interesting dynamic in the fact that we've got multiple different manufacturers throughout the top 10, but the Ferrari and the Porsche have quite clearly struggled here in free practice.
Yeah, definitely. And, well, for once, I think for the Porsche, it's really the car dynamic, where the engine is placed, of course, the entire weight balance. For the Ferrari, it's just the issue of heat. And I will be quite interested in seeing where these cars will end up in the race. Of course, you have to finish the race to actually know your final position. And if it actually gets any warmer here, it was just barely 1 p.m. here, so the sun will still rise a little bit at least. So we might actually see 45 degrees temperature up to that, or maybe if we're really, really unlucky in the driver's eye, 50 degrees. I've seen that before in this track, and it's definitely just a lot of sliding and struggling to stay alive at that point.
So momentarily we'll be getting underway with qualifying for the casual race here at Suzuka on World Pro Racing. A big thank you to you all for watching. Once again, this stream is powered by Melita, and a big thank you to our partners and sponsors, visitmalta.com, Gaming Malta, Thrustmaster and HyperX. And you're watching this if you're in Malta. Greetings to you all at TVM Sport, Esports TV and Motorsport.tv, and of course those watching on the relevant World Pro Racing live streams on Facebook, YouTube and also Twitch. Now into qualifying, and there is Gurgly Kunsabo in the GRT24 Lexus. And the track temperatures again, Nicholas, exactly the same as they were in free practice. So everyone has to be on their A game and have to be really, really careful about the tyre degs, and also make sure that the tyre pressures are up to spec.
Yeah, and I think the tyre pressures here, it will be a bit difficult, because for these corners, for the general nature of the circuits, the optimum tire pressure is around 27.5 to 28.5 psi when the tire is hot. So overall, of course, when you have lower tire pressure, you will have a little bit more movement in the tire. You will have a little bit more grip overall, just in these corners like the S's, for example. And that is something that you really want on this circuit. You want the tire to grip the most in these corners. But, of course, more movement also creates more heat, so I think it will be very, very difficult for the drivers here in these conditions to keep for themselves the perfect temperature and pressure into the tires.
Very much agree there, because when you have 39 degrees track temperature, one of the other things, apart from the rubber starting to blister in terms of the compound that the drivers are using, the sidewalls will be literally tested, as they will be going through 130R, as the number 24 of Kunsabo in the Lexus now will heavily brake into the Casio triangle in the number 24 at the moment. Tom Ottaway is currently leading ahead of De Bastiani, Norton in third, Whitehead in fourth ahead of Piardi, but a lot of drivers out on their out laps at the moment, and this is where the drivers really need to start steeling themselves, getting themselves ready for a flying lap around the 3.608 mile circuit here.
Yeah, and as you say, they will really have to steel themselves. They'll really have to just mentally prepare. First corner, as we see here very nicely from Gagli Consabo, completely clean through there. Now into the entire uphill section of the S's. Every single apex has to be hit properly. You have to get your approach to every single corner. So if you just really mess up once here, your entire run is basically already destroyed. And he really is hitting these apexes. The entire preparation to the apexes really nicely here. Consabo completely to the outside now gets a little bit further to the inside again to the Degners, and once again a very difficult complex here. You can see how hard he has hit that inside curb. It's a very high curb, and the Lexus luckily is one of these cars that takes very kindly to those.
Yeah, didn't take kindly to Heikki Kovalainen back in the early 2000s when he was partnering Lewis Hamilton at McLaren, and I remember the back end of that McLaren was up on the tyre barriers. So the Degnus is definitely a place at this circuit you don't want to go off at, as we now have 11.5 minutes still to go. Server time showing at just 3 minutes past 2 in the afternoon. 30 degrees air temperature as we now go through Spoon Curve at around third gear. And we're going to keep with Gergely Kunsabo in the number 24. Now the dip, as we go down the dip, down the back stretch, and you can now see the speed increase to over 220 kph. Let's see how brave the number 24 is, shall we? So we'll hit around about 250 kilometers an hour before turning in to the left ever so slightly, using as much curb as you possibly can. As, oh, we've had one of the Audis go off in the background and smack the barriers off of the approach into the Casio Triangle. That was definitely heart in the moment, and I think that was Tom Ottaway that went off there, possibly. So Gergely Kunsabo now will cross the line. Let's see how he does get up to, and goes P1 on a 2-minute 2.1 flat. But we've got to watch out for the likes of De Bastiani and Whitehead here, let's not forget, Nicholas.
Yeah, definitely. We just saw one of the big risks in 130R, of course. If you just hit that inside curb a little bit too hard, I think overall Kunsabo was very, very careful there, as we now have our first people coming in. Harrison, of course, with the Audi actually setting the next best lap time. So it was definitely not him that hit the wall there. I think that was from Otsui. And yeah, well, I can only say to that crash from Otsui actually at 130, deja vu, not only because of the Japan and Eurobeat reference, but also because of, well, actually deja vu for me, because that crash happened to me more than I can, well, that I want to count for practice for races here in the Audi.
I think probably more than you would like to remember there, Nicolas. But at the moment, let's just concentrate on what's going on here as the Honda NSX GT3, currently in real-life specification, is constructed by the Italian group Jazz Motorsport, who also run the WTCR customer programs, as the FIA World Touring Car Cup completed its season at Motorland Aragon this past weekend. Just gone, as Cam De Bastiani goes second on a 2-minute 1.665. So Samuel Harrison leading the way. Yet to see a competitive lap time from Luke Whitehead, but probably is more than likely going through at the minute, as Lagertsen in the number 23 rounds out the top 8. So at the moment it is an Audi in the form of Harrison leading De Bastiani in the Honda, Milo in the Aston Martin, Kunsabo in the Lexus, Revox in the Aston Martin as well. Parry in the only Mercedes on this grid, as Luke Whitehead now making his way down the backstretch heading towards 130R, and has the 912 of Bruno Vieira just behind. Not too much curb taken there by Luke Whitehead, and now the Brit will put on the anchors and then Vieira goes straight lining on the second half of the Casio Triangle. So Whitehead made a very, very good move there, just to keep out of the way. I think you saw that Vieira might have done a bit of an Alexander Wurz, as Whitehead goes top, 2 minutes, 0.441 from the number 557 from the United Kingdom. That's a great lap time. So Whitehead, and there is the Stanbridge Motorsport colours of Sam Harrison's 217 Audi. 2-minute 1.302 was the lap time that the 217 managed to get him up to provisional pole. But Luke Whitehead now, I think at this particular moment in time, Nicolas will be the first driver out of this 20-strong field on the server at the moment that will go sub 2 minutes. If he's done that in free practice, I wonder how much more pace he can unlock in the Lexus.
Yeah, that's definitely a good assumption, I'd say. Norton also just went up to P2. To cement himself into the top row at the moment. So yeah, the Lexus just once again, I think pushing on the limit, it's one of the most stable cars you can have right now. But even so, we saw a lot of cars, even drivers of the Lexus, just sliding a little bit off the circuit. And that's just this one danger that you have here. When you're pushing on the limit, you're just getting a little bit too much into it. the tires on these hot temperatures, eventually they just can't give you the grip anymore that you need, and usually the tendency is that the rear end will get loose. We saw that with De Bastiani in the first corner, and just now, of course, Ligreston as well in Spoon.
Yep, so for those watching wherever you are in the world, we bid you welcome to the GT3 casual race here at Suzuka. Don't forget, if you want to get involved with our community, we can abide and help you out. Why not follow us on all our social media? So through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can also register on worldproracing.com for further weekly casual races, not just on Assetto Corsa Competizione. We also have the Toyota Yaris at Tsukuba Circuit Team Challenge this coming Thursday. Which is a complete sellout. We also have the second round of the World Pro Racing ACC Sprint Series taking place this Friday at 20:30 Central European Time, and that is for round 2 at the Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona. And then this weekend on Saturday, the 21st of November, the 90 minutes at Hungaroring casual race is taking place, and that will start at 1900 Central European Time. So for further information on how you can get involved, head to worldproracing.com and be part of our community. So 5.5 minutes still to go. It is a Lexus 1-2 here at Suzuka. Paolo Cisco in the number 97. BMW M6 GT3 now goes heavy on the brakes into the Casio triangle before going through last curve. So we'll see if the driver behind the wheel of the sole BMW M6 comes across the line very, very shortly. Does Cisco improve? Goes 12th on a 2-minute 3.975. Looks like we've got one of the Valdens just behind Cisco, as Piardi in the number 8 NERT Bentley Continental GT3 running in 8th position in the number 7. And in terms of the times, I mean, Luke Whitehead has he's been like a scalded cat on a hot tin roof, Nicholas. He's managed to bridge a bit of a gap between himself and Norton in the number 12, but they have to be pretty closely matched for them to be leading a Lexus 1-2, and I'm wondering if Kun Sabo in the next 4.5 minutes will be able to capitalise and make good some intentions in the number 24 to get that Lexus, maybe to have 3 Lexuses in the top 5 by the end of this session.
Well, very nice analogy, especially considering our track temperature right now. But if Consabo really does want to profit on the current situation and still wants to go out one more time, he would have to leave about right now, which he doesn't seem to be doing, because he will just barely have enough time to just get the outlap done. Of course, around 2 minutes here. Much like Spa-Francorchamps, you really have to plan in the long outlap for this, and time is ticking as driver after driver comes across the line once again. Let's see what Piardi is doing, and in just that moment we're just switching to Reboldi in the Ferrari. So from one NERT driver to the other, from the Bentley in 8th to the Ferrari in 11th, and overall the car, surprisingly enough, seems to be quite settled for him so far, so maybe he's at the moment just trying to keep it steady as well, to not over push the car, to just keep the tire temperatures under control for this Ferrari.
I think also one of the biggest things here, Nicolas, is the fact that you have to also, if you're going to be qualifying in the mid-pack, that can be a bit of a problem. And in many respects, what you want to do is going down into the first corner, you want to keep your nose clean. And I think that's what Reboldi is possibly doing.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, you're pulling the nice Senna Prost memory out, and of course, not the only Senna Prost memory that we have of this circuit. Of course, in turn 1, we had this very iconic incident which sparked, if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
Yes, that was 1990 when Prost was with Ferrari, and I remember the whole sort of situation, because they, Prost, I think, what was it? Senna qualified on pole. They put it on the outside of the circuit, so it was, as far as Senna deemed it, the wrong side of the circuit, and there was a lot of recollection in that paddock, I think, where Senna was going to do it no matter what happened, no matter how much Prost closed that gap. Senna was going to go for it, and I remember the words of the great Murray Walker saying, "And look, it's already happened," as they literally came to blows. And I think also another memory, Nigel Mansell back in 1991 in Lione, racing for Williams Renault in what would be the car that would help him to the World Championship a year later. I think it was going through that same corner, the back end stepped out and put him in the gravel. So there's been a lot of action associated with Suzuka in the late 80s and early 90s in Formula One, but it's still great to see these GT3 cars roaring around here. Cam de Bastiani now crossing the line, goes P2 on a 2:168. So the it looks like the Honda's really doing well, as we've got just under 60 seconds. Piardi, best effort from the number 7 Bentley is a 2:2.6. But de Bastiani, I think, knew that Whitehead is probably going to be the one to try and beat, but has decided to think discretion is the better part of valor here, Nicolas.
Yeah, definitely, but especially with that time, he's so close now. I think this was basically just a formal little reminder to Luke Whitehead. Mate, you're not in a league of your own. I'm right behind you, so remember that going into turn 1, especially as they are too wide for this rolling start.
Exactly, and that's one of the biggest differences between a Formula One start and also a sports car start, as Luke Whitehead is now making his way out of the hairpin through into 200R before the run down to Spoon Curve, one of the iconic corners on the track, and also the name Spoon is also one of the major Japanese tuners for street cars. So a lot, and also well known in Japanese motorsport. Luke Whitehead comes out of Spoon Curve. Down the back stretch comes the number 557 Lexus. One final time through 130R. And I would think, judging by the way he's driving that thing like he stole it, Nicolas, that he's on a hot lap. Because otherwise he would have backed out and probably hit escape and gone back to the pits.
Yeah, definitely. And just seeing that curb usage on the exit of 130R, that must be quite on the limit. And actually, no, he's fooled us all and pulls into the pit lane. Yeah. But yeah, we see that gap here again. De Bastiani, half a tenth behind pole position. So definitely a little reminder to Luke Whitehead there.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Lexus and the Honda have really put the cat amongst the rest of the pigeons, such as Audi, Bentley, Porsche struggling, Ferrari running just outside the top 10. It's looking to be a rather exciting GT3 casual race here at Suzuka. 5.807 kilometers, 3.608 miles. It's a fantastic track, Nicolas, that, like we've been discussing, we've been reminiscing about motorsport moments past, but we hopefully will have a few of our own moments very shortly for the half-hour race here on World Pro Racing.
Yeah, definitely. As we all saw, obviously, Suzuka is a good place to make memories, and I'm pretty sure with the top 2 that close, a lot more memories are about to be made here.
Well, looks like we're about to get things underway here at World Pro Racing. So the formation, a brief formation, will start coming into 130R. So Luke Whitehead and Cam de Bastiani are on the front row. Then it's Norton and Harrison, Milo and Kunsabo, that's row 3. Revox and Otti, that's row 4. Piardi and Pari, row 5, rounding out the top 10. Gemello, Reboldi, Ressa, Painter, Cisco, Lagritsen, Vieira, Alfonseca. Then we've got Matswalden and Anderswalden. So don't forget to join our community. Why not register on worldproracing.com and follow us on all our relevant social media. If you're watching on the official World Pro Racing YouTube channel, why not hit the thumbs up, give this video a like. Also, hit the subscribe and notification bell so we can tell you, we can inform you through YouTube's wonderful algorithm on when we are racing next, and that will be this coming Thursday for the Toyota Yaris at Tsukuba Circuit Team Challenge on the Gran Turismo Sport platform this coming Thursday at 20:30 local time. Central European time. If you're on the UK and you're watching, good evening. Now this is time for what is going to happen now. And again, Nicolas, the track temperature hasn't changed. This is going to be one they're going to have to fight for, and they're going to be sweating buckets come the end of half an hour.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, luckily, this is sim racing. They're not sitting in the real cars. In the real cars, at these temperatures, it gets quite hot. And especially for Mr. Cisco in P15, that's quite a good thing, because I've heard from some drivers that especially the M6 is not a very pleasant car to be in hot temperatures. Now they make their way around the last corner, though. Everyone's bunching together. Who do you think will be able to decide the start for himself?
Let's just see. Keep your eyes on Luke Whitehead, De Bastiani, but keep your eyes on Sam Harrison. 30 minutes on the clock here on World Pro Racing for the GT3 casual race at Suzuka. They are primed, ready and raring to go. Ladies and gentlemen, we wait for the lights to go green. And now, do we get the green light? We do. They hit the accelerators hard to the floor. They are off and away and racing here at Suzuka. Whitehead gets the initial advantage on De Bastiani. Harrison looking to try and put it round the outside of Norton, and slingshots past for third place. Dynamite start there from Sam Harrison, and Kun Sabo already past Milo in the number 89 Aston Martin before they hit the S-Bends here at Suzuka. But Nicolas, that was a textbook start there by Sam Harrison, using his karting experience to great aplomb there.
Yeah, most definitely. Very good car control from him there. Overall, we have got very, very good car control and spatial awareness from everyone into the first corner, I think. De Bastiani really trying his best to stay alongside there, but now falling a little bit behind.
So Milo in the number 89, Mathieu Milo in the blue-gold Aston Martin. And it looks like I did spot that Tom Revox had dropped down a couple of places as the number oh, now that's Kun Sabo trying to go door to door, wheel to wheel with Sam Harrison, and also you've got Norton in there as well. So Harrison really getting the old elbows out in karting terminology ahead of the number 12 of Norton, and that is the Lamborghini Jorge Alfonseca in the number 78 that has dropped down towards the back part of the field. And there's also the number 912 of Vieira. They're battling away, and now it's all starting to kick off because Norton's starting to get away from Kun Sabo, who's got Milo breathing down his exhaust pipes as they head through to 130R. Whitehead leads away. De Bastiani in second. Harrison, Norton, Kun Sabo, and that is 3 Lexuses in the top 5 at the moment. What a display by these drivers. Oh, straight line by Luke Whitehead going through the Casio triangle, and that has allowed Camille De Bastiani to get past into the lead. And look, already, let's just have a look at this replay here, Nicholas. Just take us through it.
You just go up to 250 there. So overall, it looked like a completely textbook corner by Whitehead. Completely nice, doesn't even touch the inside curb and has plenty of space to spare. But then just completely outbrakes himself there, and there he just thinks, I'm going to take the different track layout. Maybe a little bit more safe in general terms. And, well, quite lucky that also the Honda is far enough away from the next Audi of Harrison to not get into the way of him there on that rejoin.
I think the stewards will look favourably on that one because he realised he'd made a mistake. He let De Bastiani past as we've had someone go off the track, and that is Sam Harrison. Harrison drops out of the top 3. That was a mistake going through into Dunlop and into the first of the 2 Degners. So Sam Harrison has dropped down to 7th position and has Pari in the number 6 Mercedes breathing down the back of his race suit, proverbially speaking. Oh, there's been a touch. Oh, that is Kun Sabo and Milo. They've just come to blows, and that is through the hairpin. More dramas. So, yeah, oh, Milo's just gone for the move up the inside, and he's just tagged the back end of Kun Sabo, who's now dropped down to 16th position. So we've had 2 major incidents, both involving Lexus cars, and the one that has ended up worst off. That is unfortunately Gergely Kun Sabo in the number 24, but Revox now trying to close on Harrison, and that has really changed the dynamic of this race, Nicolas, as we've got just under 4 minutes of the 30-minute race completed.
Yeah, most definitely. Lap 2, well, lap 1 was overall quite clean. That's the big fear of every driver, but lap 2 is seemingly taking its place as Steve Painter now has to defend on the inside for the Casio Triangle. The Ferrari actually starting to make some moves as well to start attacking, so maybe Riboldi finally coming to really good terms now with this Italian car.
Yes, and Tom Ottaway. Now it's an Audi it's an Audi. Oh! Sam Harrison gets a little bit of a touch on the right rear quarter panel, courtesy of Tom Revox, as Harrison was closing on Tom Ottaway for 4th place. And now it is really kicking off. You've got Piardi. Oh, Piardi hits the barriers, and that must have been Ressa in the Nissan that was just behind. Piardi gets dramas and drops out of the top 10 down to 14th. Let's have a look at the replay here. And he tries to rejoin in front of Kunz. That's one of the 2 Lexuses, but yeah, Piardi just got spat out. And that, I think, would have been by possibly Ressa in the number 70, because that looked like a Nissan. As Kunsaba trying to get past Piardi for 14th place. As now, Luke Whitehead and Camde Bastiani battling away over the lead. Whitehead was closing there through the hairpin. They now go through 200R. This might be a 30-minute sprint race, but this is definitely a lot of incidents and accidents in the last lap and a half here, Nicolas.
Yeah, I think people are starting to get nervous now. Sometimes it really is like that. When the race is starting, lap 1, it just goes all without trouble. And just as people start to relax a little bit more from the constant tension of lap 1, then it starts happening with all the accidents. Well, it was never really a big collision that actually happened. It was always just these small collisions just in very, very unfortunate places. And now we have the entirety of the top 10, and, well, actually 11th place as well, with Steve Painter defending from Riboldi once again here.
Yeah, just been informed by Race Control. Drive-through for Mathieu Milo for the collecting of Gergely Kunsabo. So Milo, currently rounding out the top 16, will be dropping to the back end of the field, and will have 3 laps to serve that drive-through penalty. Looks like someone kicked up a bit of dust coming out of the final turn. And now you can see on your screens the drive-through penalty has been issued to Mathieu Milo, as now Cam de Bastiani coming under real pressure now, Nicolas, from Luke Whitehead, and they're going side by side. Oh, brilliant move around the outside there by Luke Whitehead, but de Bastiani trying to hold on in the Nissan, in the Honda. My apologies there, that was another Japanese manufacturer. That was brain not engaging before speaking there, Alex. But de Bastiani there really keeping Luke Whitehead very honest, and Ben Norton looks to be having the ringside seat at the moment, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I actually was about to say before that incident happened, Bastiani really has to be careful here, because overall the biggest edge that the Honda has, I think, over the Lexus, while the Lexus is already an incredibly fast car on the straights, de Bastiani is a little bit quicker even, because that Honda rarely runs on straights. It just rarely walks away from everything else, even with slipstream. But in corners, it's not quite able to match the performance of the Lexus, I think, as we now have Tom Revox in front of Harrison in the Aston Martin coming through Spoon. But depending on how Harrison gets this exit now, he would be in a position to attack Revox into 130R.
Thing to do here from a strategic point of view. Harrison, as a karter, would normally go for a move like that, but he's staying behind. He's waiting for that opportunity. Then you got Tom Ottaway just behind. Now Harrison looking towards the inside of the Casio Triangle. Or if he was a little bit closer, if he had another length and a half of Audi in terms of the gap. Right now, has Harrison just jumped in the pits?
Yes, he
has. Right. That's interesting. Now, is that for damage? Because that's going to drop him all the way down. And then we've got Milo now serving the drive-through for the contact with Kunsabo. So that's very interesting. I'll be interested to see what Race Controls can inform us about with that. As Mats Walden from Sweden on the number 13 is trying to battle away with a few other people, and that includes Piardi up the inside. The Bentley goes through. Afonseca in the 78 Lamborghini, just behind. Looks like Sam Harrison just decided to do that was a drive. Well, I'm not too sure if that was possibly a drive-through as such from Sam Harrison. But there was nothing to indicate that on our screens that you guys and girls are watching at home. So Samuel Harrison comes back out in what is effectively 15th according to the screens on the left-hand side. Mats Walden was running at the back end of the field, but obviously with the likes of Kornsabo, Piardi having struggled, the Swedish driver currently in 14th as Afonseca in the number 78 is trying to close down as Cisco is trying to battle with Kornsabo. Cisco in the BMW is ahead as they come through 200R and into Spoon Curve, the double left. But looks like Kornsabo's really got that Lexus hooked up there, Nicolas.
Yeah, definitely. He is definitely got the grips of how the Lexus works. Now we have him here on the inside for this next kink down the back straight over the tunnel. And, well, we can see now how really good that power of the new BOP for the BMW is kicking in for Cisco. Just pulling away once again, and Kornsabo's really just trying to be careful there through 130R.
Yes, very careful, and as they say, discretion is the better part of valour. Tom Ottaway battling away with Tom Revox, and that is the battle for what is 4th position on the road. So Ottaway having a better time out than I've seen over the last three races at Monza, at Misano, and now obviously we're here at Suzuka, so it's going to be quite interesting. The Porsche looks to be doing a little bit better in the hands of Mats Walden, but Anders having a difficult time, currently running in 18th position at the moment. So Whitehead leads in the Lexus with just over 19 minutes on the clock remaining. De Bastiani in second in the Honda, and then Ben Norton from Gifted Racing Team rounds out the top three, as Kornsabo again getting a bit closer to the BMW, the number 97 of Paolo Cisco, also from Nord-Est Racing Team. But this is a great move if he pulls us off Kornsabo, and this is going into the Degners. Oh, the pair goes sideways and Kornsabo loses the back end, and Cisco off the track as well. Let's have a look at the replay.
Yeah, I think there was maybe just Kornsabo a little bit too aggressive on the turning there.
Yeah, but Cisco, there was a little bit of a touch. He went in. He had the racing line effectively. Kornsabo tried to put it round the outside, and you know what? Kornsabo's up for seconds. As we go on board the Lexus through 200R, let's just stay on board with the number 24 for a minute. So they're going to now come under the that slight Suzuka sign there into Spoon Curve, 5th gear, braking from just under 238 kilometers an hour into Spoon Curve. Great switchback move there by Kornsabo to get up the inside of Cisco. And I just think, just from my personal type of experience, Nicolas, I think that might have just been a little bit of a racing incident there, because they were both going for the same bit of tarmac through the first Degner.
Yeah, I'd say so as well overall. Kornsabo, of course, into the first Degner. You know, you can't let yourself fall to the outside too much there. And overall, it's quite difficult in that situation to judge if you're completely through, especially with two very long cars like the Lexus and, of course, the BMW, as we have another move going into the Casio Triangle here. Afonseca making it down the inside now, going past Mats Walden, and right behind him, Harrison is laughing to himself and thinking, well, I guess I'll take this Porsche in the next corner.
Yeah, and then he'll have a Lamborghini for the main course, and he could have a Bentley for dessert if he's not too careful. Afonseca all runs wide. Harrison's going to go up the inside. You were spot on with your analysis there, Nicolas. So, like, have the Porsche, have the Lamborghini. Now, here comes the dessert. I'm going to have the big old slice of lemon cheesecake from Great Britain, courtesy of the Bentley of Piardi. So 16 minutes and 35 seconds still to go. Looks like Kornsabo might have just had another bit of a moment there. Well, that's Painter. My apologies, Stephen Painter, who's now running in 10th place, as Patrizio Gemello in the Battle of Godzillas has Rainer Hesser in the number 70 just up ahead, and they're battling for 7th position. Pari is the sole Mercedes and is still running pretty well. P6 for the number 6 Mercedes. But Riboldi, I must admit here, Nicolas, still finding a bit of pace in that Ferrari in 9th position.
Yeah, sometimes it's just over time that you have to get more used to the car. And especially right now, I think he's taking the right approach to the race, because much like the track, people's minds and their sense of racecraft, they're getting heated. And right now, Riboldi is just trying his best to stay cool, keep his tires cool, and just maybe pick up scraps here and there, and also just stay consistent. He's just right on the tail of Gemello now, so it could just well be that he's moving past one Nissan and then the next.
I agree with you there, Nicolas. So Luke Whitehead, as we fast approach half-time on the timer, 15 minutes and 14 seconds still to go here at the GT3 casual race at Suzuka. And Luke Whitehead, he's just put in his best lap time of the race of 2 minutes, 0.822 second lap time. Tom Ottey still battling away with Tom Revox. As you can hear some of the in-game chatter that is being shown. Fonseca has been quite literally dropped like a stone, courtesy of Samuel Harrison from Stanbridge Motorsport in the 217 Audi, who is looking to close up. Fonseca runs a little bit wide coming out of the first corner and into the first part of the S's. And this is you said this earlier, Nicolas, is that the snake and the anti-bank curve sections here at Suzuka are really the ones that make or break whether you move forward or whether you move backward in terms of the race itself.
Yeah, because you have to really just hit the turn-in points, you have to set up the car perfectly for every single one of them, and if you just move wrong once, or if you just move a little bit too far on the inside once, the grass and everything, the track itself is very smooth, but the grass is all the bumpier, and that's really just one of the things that I think caught out many people already. If you just get a little bit too far on the inside curb, start touching the grass, for example, the Audi, it spins around very quickly in that moment. And more than just a few people, I think, got caught out by that already.
I think Paulo Cisco has just been passed for 13th position by Samuel Harrison as the two Nissans go into battle, heading into the braking zone for the Casio Triangle with Ressa ahead of Gemello. And this, I fear, is going to be waging war all around Suzuka for the next 13 and a bit minutes. So Whitehead leads from De Bastiani. Norton in third, Ottaway, Revox, Paris, Ressa, Gemello, Riboldi, Painter, Kunsabo, Piardi, Harrison, Cisco, Afonseca, Mats Walden, Matthew Milo, who's the only driver that's had a penalty issued for contact for earlier on in the race through the hairpin on Kunsabo, with Anders Walden rounding out the 18 drivers that are still circulating. Oh, Gemello off the track, and that gives an opportunity to Riboldi, who literally said, lovely, doors wide open, thank you very much, Patrizio. So it just goes to show that one slight mistake and it can bite back hard.
Yeah, and that is just one of the big dangers of the S's, and one of the big charming points of Suzuka, I think, because other than for turn 1 and 130R and Spoon, there's not really tarmac runoffs. There's only just instantly grass and gravel, so you really still get very, very much penalized for any mistakes you make. And if these mistakes do happen, it penalizes you very, very hard. So that overall just makes it all the more crucial that you hit your lines perfectly for that section.
That was well put there, Nicolas. So Mathieu Milou in the 89 trying to close as Samuel Harrison has had dessert, and now he's going to go and try and see if he can pull away from Piardi. That's Marco Piardi in the number 7 Bentley, who's now down into 13th position. Sam Harrison up into 12th place. He was running in the top 3, and I think probably when he had that moment earlier on in the race, I think that's where he picked up some damage, so I'm sure that's probably why that car is absolutely flying. The 5.2 litre V10 naturally aspirated mid-mounted engine in that car, now hurtling its way down to 130R. There is Tom Ottaway in the number 69 Audi. So one Audi running in 4th, one Audi running in 12th place. There's Diego Riboldi closing up on Reina Ressa in the number 17 Nissan. Gemello rounds out the top 10. Kun Sabo might just have to watch his back bumper, depending on the closing race of Samuel Harrison, who looks to be coming alive in this final part of the race.
Yeah, and overall, we still do not know why he actually did go into the pit lane, but he's making his way back up. And actually, we had, I think, Luke Whitehead now with incredible consistency, only 0.006 of a second slower than his fastest lap. So he's really getting into his element here, not behind the Honda anymore. And, well, what else can you say other than he really knows how to move that car around this circuit?
Well, considering the fact since I joined World Pro Racing about 3 weeks ago, I've been waiting for this opportunity to see if Luke Whitehead will have a victory. And there is Steve Painter, also another Brit in the number 14, currently running P9 as we now have the final third of the GT3 casual race here at Suzuka, here live and uninterrupted on World Pro Racing with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and also my partner in crime, Nicolas Hilbrand. It's been an enthralling race so far, wouldn't you agree, Nicolas?
Yeah, we never had really a dull moment here, and what could you say? You know, what is better than an interesting race? An interesting race with a lot of field variety in the top 10.
Definitely so at the moment. It is Lexus leading from Honda, from Lexus, Audi, Aston Martin, as Ressa now being pressurized by Reboldi in the Ferrari. Look at the pace the 488 GT3 has got. He's in the slipstream. And now the Nissan Godzilla is coming under threat on home soil by an Italian stalwart. And there goes Riboldi to the inside onto the first corner. But Ressa manages to sweep round the outside, takes the tighter line. Diego Riboldi, I think if he was about another, if he had another 5 or 8 kph there in his pocket through the slipstream, Nicolas, I think he really could have had that move done and dusted.
I think so as well, but overall, it's definitely a move that is very risky. So maybe he just thought better of it in that moment. Maybe just trying to, you know, of course, if you take the corner slower as well, you also don't heat up the tires as much. So maybe he was just thinking, I don't know if I can pull this move off completely. So maybe I'll just try to wait this one out another lap or two. Because he has another lap or two. It's only 8 minutes and 18 seconds left now. So, you know, maybe just waiting for that last-minute pass.
I think you very much could be right, because that's where a driver will use that strategy to the optimum, conserve those tyres, keep the laps consistent, but also, now that Riboldi... Oh! Big moment there for Afonseca, and I think there might have been a little bit of contact there. Let's just have a look. And that was Cisco involved. Now, we just caught the tail end of that. I think they were side by side. I'm wondering whether Afonseca lost it all on his own, but I'm sure we'll have clarification. But Jorge Afonseca from Portugal not having a great evening here on World Pro Racing, dropping the Portuguese driver down to 17th position, as Gemello is ahead of Painter. So Patricio Gemello from the Nord-Est Racing team in the Nissan is staying ahead of the number 14 Lexus. So, well, we're getting more than we bargained for in the latter 7.5 minutes here, Nicolas, especially with Afonseca's massive spin just then.
Yeah, that is an understatement to say the least.
Well, we can't really sort of use expletives, so I think the best thing, the best thing we can do is describe it in the best vigorous way possible.
That is definitely true. But yeah, Gemello got past Painter just out of the hairpin, a move that I've seen, well, quite often already, because, you know, you can just take the hairpin in so many different lines. It's a little bit on camber, so it's just very, very nice to see different lines being taken through that, and Gemello just really made it a nice little case of the undercut, or the over and under, as no matter how you want to call it, you know, a very nice move to do. And Ressa is now right in front of both of them.
I think he's had a bit of a moment. Riboldi, I just saw up the road coming through the second Degner. I'm wondering if Reina Ressa has actually made a bit of a pig's ear going through a particular corner, and whether that car has got damage, because you can just see the closing speeds from Patrizio Gemello and also Steve Painter. And yeah, Ressa is struggling with that car. That car, I fear, has got damage.
Yeah, I would definitely say so as well. On maybe not damage on the car itself, but maybe damage to the tires, because, well, especially in these temperatures, even if it has gone down to 38 degrees Celsius now, tire tearing when you're just trying to overdrive the car a little bit too much, and also graining, that is two things that can happen very quickly in these temperatures. And especially in these corners here, and especially in just fast corners, mid-speed fast corners on the front tires, you will really notice that. You will have to slow down more, and the tires will just get exponentially worse the longer you drive.
I think also the fact was that Ressa was defending quite substantially for a long period of time ahead of Diego Riboldi. So I think that with Riboldi now getting that second wind, that second bit of life in those tyres, I think, as you said, Ressa's been overdriving, and that has caused the number 70 Nissan to sort of, well, as we normally say in motorsport, the tyres have literally fallen off the cliff, and it has fallen quite badly for Reina Ressa, who has started to get a little bit further away from Patrizio Gemello and Steve Painter, as Tom Revox now coming under pressure, and that is from Pari in. Oh, the Mercedes trying to go for it. And it's Mikko Pari from Team Cruising Missiles. We go on board with the number 6 Mercedes, the Estonian driver, and you can just see how close he is to Tom Revox. So the Aston Martin not being given an opportunity to breathe, as we've got just over 4 minutes of this race remaining. So yeah, battling away. I mean, look, Sam Harrison is now starting to close on Kun Sabo, who is caught up to Steve Painter. Is now Reina Ressa in the number 70 is being pressurised once again by Patrizio Gemello in the number 75 Nissan GTR GT3. Some great battles in the dying stages of this race, and as they said, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, a lot of Japanese infighting there. Nissan versus Nissan, Lexus versus Lexus, and all four of those drivers, of course, want to move forward. And this could be, well, a little bit far-fetched, but Mercedes infighting.
Well, yeah, considering the fact that it is an AMG 4-litre V8 turbo under the twin turbo under the bonnet of that Aston Martin, as Mercedes do have in real life terms a shareholding. Steve Painter trying to go up the inside. Oh, a little bit of a touch between Lexuses there, or the Lexi. Oh, Painter spins it around, and Harrison gets past round the outside and goes, oh, thank you very much, Steve. Left the door open for me. Such a gent.
Very good reflexes from, definitely from Harrison there as well.
Yeah, but there's no giving up from Mikkel Parai as all the switchback happens. The Mercedes past the Aston Martin, but Revox trying to go out there. Oh, they've touched and they've spun out, and the rear tyres get let up on the back of the Mercedes, and Riboldi now up into 6. Oh, watch out. Oh, Pari has to wait patiently, and here comes, that is Kun Sabo, and Harrison in that Audi is closing exponentially. So Pari trying to battle for 5th place with Tom Revox through the second half of the S's here at Suzuka. Gets all that hard work undone and drops the Mercedes, with the Estonian driver dropping outside of the top 9. Disaster with just under 3 minutes to go.
It's definitely not fun at all to see a fight end like that, but of course, aggressive offense and aggressive defense, something like that can happen. And, well, especially in the S-curves where you have to just try and get the line perfectly. Too wide doesn't always work. And, well, Mikkel Pari now has one chance, though, to stay at least in the top 10, as he is now forced to defend from the charging Harrison in the Audi, who's now trying to look down the inside, but thinks better of it in the last moment.
And that's going through Spoon Curve, but Harrison's got the run coming out of the corner. down the back stretch. And this is where it's going to get rather interesting. I want to find out where our leader, Luke Whitehead, is at this particular moment in time. There is Luke Whitehead. And I have a feeling that he is now on the final lap of this race. If he came across the line with less than 2 minutes to go, it will be on the final lap. He's coming through Degner 1 and into the right at Degner 2. So Luke Whitehead has been on the podium a couple of times as Mikkel Parry having to battle away Samuel Harrison right in the slipstream in the 217 Audi. They now go on to their final lap of this race and going through into first corner. Harrison not close enough to strike. Parry keeps it nice and tight going through the second part of first corner. But now Harrison is going to look for an opportunity at several points on this circuit. Dunlop is going to be one of them. The hairpin will be another one. The backstretch heading down towards 130 up, but he's going to try and go for the move. Go side by side with the Estonian, but not this time. Luke Whitehead, in the meantime, making his way down the backstretch into 130R. Comes the 557 Lexus. What a drive from Luke Whitehead. Pole position, fastest in free practice. Now into the Casio triangle. Just one more corner remains after the chicane. And finally, here on World Pro Racing in GT3 Casual Race Battles, Luke Whitehead comes round the final corner, and it is a victory for Japan. And it's also a victory for Lexus on home soil. What a drive. Camille de Bastiani from France in the number 30 makes it 2 different Japanese brands as Honda remains filled with pride here at Suzuka in second position. And then to cap it all off, 3 Japanese cars in the top 3. Ben Norton rounds out the top 3 ahead of Tom Ottaway, Tom Revox, Diego Riboldi. But the battle for 7th is between the pair of warring Godzillas heading through into 130R for the final time. Reina Ressa will have to watch it because Patrizio Gemello could try for something. Not into the Casio triangle, I think. But if Gemello gets a good run as Painter receives a drive-through in the latter stages of this race. But the battle of the Godzillas goes to the number 70 of Reina Ressa, who finishes behind Diego Riboldi, Patrizio Gemello, Kun Savo and Sam Harrison round out the top 10. Mats Walden battling away with that looks to be, I think that is Painter, who's dropped a little bit further back as a result of it. Mats Walden will finish in 16th, but Luke Whitehead takes the victory here at Suzuka for the GT3 casual race here on World Pro Racing. What a drive from the 557. And I've also noticed that Tom Revox gets a 5-second post-race time penalty. And I see that Race Control is going to be informing us very, very shortly as to what happened. But Nicolas, what a drive from Luke Whitehead. Absolutely flawless.
Well, other than that one lockup in lap 1, I would definitely agree with you. But of course, he did a great recovery. He did a safe rejoin. And other than that, he made it past the Honda again. And then just kept building his gap, kept building and building and building. Like Minecraft, just building away from the ground, and that gap just kept growing.
So the incident between Revox and Parry was the reason why Tom Revox got a 5-second post-race penalty. So big thank you to Race Control. Hopefully we'll be getting some interviews with our top 3. So we'll be waiting on the likes of Luke Whitehead, Camille de Bastiani, and also Ben Norton. So in many respects, Nicolas, a great way to start the week here on World Pro Racing because there's so much action happening on Thursday, Friday and Saturday night. The calendar is getting busier for us here on World Pro Racing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, another 2 races will be on Assetto Corsa Competizione, but of course we have Thursday's Toyota Yaris Challenge with GT Sports, so also quite popular here, completely booked out, as you said. And well, Assetto Corsa Competizione, both fields, I think, over 20 cars once again, so should definitely be a very interesting weekend.
Okay, well, let's go to our first interview of the evening. Finally, well done, Luke Whitehead. Congratulations on your victory here at Suzuka. Top time in free practice, top time in qualifying, putting you on pole. And obviously, as Nicholas alluded to a bit earlier on in the broadcast, that you had a slight lock up on lap 1, but after that, it was pretty much a way of trying to get past Camille de Bastiani and get past that Honda to take a well-earned victory after a few tries already.
Thank you. I'm absolutely over the moon. It's a bit more difficult than what I probably wanted it to be. Qualifying had a couple of laps that were sort of impeded, which was quite annoying. And then in the race, obviously, I made the silly mistake of going in too hard into the final chicane. There wasn't any pressure either. It was just I just went in too hard. And then, as you say, just had to hunt down the Honda and just made the past very difficult for myself. But yeah, I'm just glad to finally get that first win under my belt.
Well done. Congratulations. I think, Nicholas, if you want to have a chat with our third place driver, Ben Norton from Gifted Racing Team, I'll hand it over to you, my friend.
Ben, if you can hear me, you had a very solid race as well. Not quite as spectacular overall, but still some battles at the start before you could just settle into third place and just keep it very nicely, very close to the Honda and drive across the line. How was it for you overall?
It was okay. The first lap was just trying not to make any contact, get away cleanly. I tried to stay with the Honda for the whole race, but I didn't really want to push too much. I wanted to secure the podium. Pretty lonely race, really. Nobody behind. The Honda just a bit too quick in front, so P3, I'll take that.
Yeah, overall, very satisfied as well with the car choice, with the Japanese full locked-out podium in Japan.
I love the Lexus. It's really solid. It's got quite a lot of capabilities. I'm really happy for my first event. I'm very happy.
Yeah, definitely a very good debut for you. Any shout-outs you want to make to team sponsors or family?
I don't really have any team sponsors.
Okay. Well, there's plenty of stuff to develop with that kind of pace and that clean of a race. So yeah, I'll hand it back to you, Alex.
Well done, Ben. Congratulations on your third place finish this evening. Also, just to quickly catch up with Camille de Bastiani. Camille, many congratulations on a second place result here this evening at Suzuka. Obviously, I know that the victory was definitely on the cards for yourself and the Honda. Please give us your thoughts on what was a very interesting race.
You're a bit quiet right now.
All right. Might be better now.
Yes, that's much better. We can hear you a bit better now. So.
All right. Lonely race, mainly because I was sliding way too much at the beginning of the race. I don't think I have the pace to follow Luke. He was doing two zeros, which I was not able to do during the race, and I barely managed to do in qualifying. But I'm pretty satisfied with P2. That's my first event, so I'm proud to put the Honda in second place at Suzuka. That's nice.
Yes, especially considering that it is Honda's home track, along with Twin Ring Motegi, amongst others. But Camille, félicitations, bien fait aujourd'hui, and we look forward to seeing you next time here on World Pro Racing.
Yeah, thank you.
So that is it from us here on World Pro Racing. Myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Nicholas Hilbrand being your official commentators for the casual race this evening. We'd like to say a big thank you to you all watching on TVM Sport in Malta, Esports Television, Motorsport.tv, and the World Pro Racing Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch channels. We also would like to say that this stream has been powered by Melita. We'd also like to say a big thank you to Thrustmaster, visitmalta.com, Gaming Malta, and HyperX as always. And after this, we say goodbye for now. Don't forget to tune in at 8:30 p.m. Central European Time for the Toyota Yaris at Tsukuba Circuit Team Challenge on the Gran Turismo Sport platform, the World Pro Racing Sprint Series this coming Friday, and the first ever 90-minute casual race this week at the Hungaroring on Saturday evening. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and we'll be going to the race highlights very, very shortly. Good night for now.
stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You're risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.